Hey guys, welcome to A Cast of Salt, episode number 58.
58.
58.
Now known as the cast of Ben and Adam.
Yeah, I know, man. I don't know. It's round 3 already. I think it's the third one.
At least.
Yeah. So yes. So as Ben already mentioned, my name is Adam, and I'm here with Benjamin.
Yes.
And we're here talking our normal bi-weekly-ish podcast.
Our bi-weekly, whenever we can/feel like,
about video game news, and generally things that interest us because, you know, at the moment the news is total hot trash and I don't want to talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I think it just hurts me. It hurts me, Benjamin.
Hurts my soul.
We've got Anthem. I wanted to love it.
It cuts me deep.
Actually, I got an update. So yeah, basically, spoiler alert, news roundup, Anthem's bad.
Anthem bad,
Oh,
Apex
God.
Legends good. The end.
Yeah, I know. That's basically every
That's it for us.
what every news channel is reporting on for the last 2-3 weeks at least. I've also been having just like I've actually found I'm still playing Anthem. I'm still playing.
Just
although
holding out.
funnily enough, we had some news come out around so some of the crashes about bricking PS4s.
Yes.
And thinking, well, that's bad. That's not good at all.
That's bad.
And it's funny because, like, I don't have PS4, so you're like, Adam, you got an Xbox. This is the best time to own an Xbox, am I right?
You must be super happy that you've picked the right platform to be on.
I know. Wrong, Adam. You picked like Anthem's still having problems on Xbox. It's not being widely reported. People are still picking up on it, but Xbox and PC are still having issues too. I personally had it happen to me as well. I got
First-hand experience.
Kicked off for 2 days because I had no idea what was happening. I couldn't turn on. So the audio died. Like, I was playing a mission and then the screen froze. Everything just kind of like, and then the audio died. And then it tried to continue playing the mission, and then it froze again, and it kept going, and then it froze again, and it just looked like something was dying.
Yeah.
Game ended up completely crashing and like exiting the desktop. And I was like, oh, that's weird.
It's like,
I could still hear, and then the audio came back. Like, I could hear the ambient noises in the
Yeah.
Xbox and everything. I was like, okay, cool. It sounds good. Then logged in, and no audio again. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I kept having these stop-start issues,
Yep.
freezes in like the BioWare Flash title, and I'm like, oh,
You're loading the title.
this bad,
and you're struggling.
This real bad. So logged in, managed to make it to the main Anthem page. Click start, logged in, server connection. Can't connect to server. We can't connect you to and servers are offline. Don't know. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's not right.
And then I was like Googling out, immediately got into my IT brain. Started being like, I'm finding this fucking bug.
What is going on
Started
here?
Googling around, trying to find things. Turns out, couldn't find anything. No forums, nothing. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Ended up getting so frustrated, I lashed out at EA support on Twitter. And was
This
like,
is what you get.
and I was like, what is going wrong with my fucking game?
How is this so dead?
And they were very polite. And they responded to me in like, I don't know. It's Australian time, so it was like 10 o'clock at night in Australia. So I think they got back to me.
They were awake.
They got back to me in like 10 hours or something.
Okay.
10 to 12 hours. And they're like, hi, Adam. Sorry to hear you're having this problem. Can you follow these steps, please? And then listed out a whole bunch of steps, which I've screenshotted and sent to my mates for the next part of this story. That is, and then it fixed it. And basically, it looked like it was an issue with the memory that they're saving. There's like I didn't even know this had in an Xbox or PlayStation or whatever, but there's like a persistent bit of memory that they store from the disc into the game.
Yeah.
I think it's to speed up load times and do all that, and like to quick load things. So instead of reading it from disc, they just read it from this not your normal hard drive or a partition on the hard drive of the Xbox. And that has separate settings of clearing memory out, because I uninstalled and reinstalled the entire game as well.
And
that still did not work.
Did nothing.
So I downloaded 40 gigs for it to then not work again.
Oh, nope.
And it was
still
just
broken.
like, what the fuck?
Still
So
broken.
nearly 2 days, 2 full days later, then this response came through about, you just need to go into the settings and clear this and go to disk storage or something, and then clear temporary disk storage. And I was like, what the fuck?
It's like I didn't even know that was a thing.
And they're like, do it 3 times, and I'm like, does it matter? Like once
does not do
3?
enough. No.
And then I was like, okay, cool, flashed it, and then they're like, reset your MAC address, and I'm like, what the fuck are you asking me to do?
So, and then once you've reset your MAC address, take your Xbox, throw it out,
and buy a new one.
But
then I got it, and then it was just like, it's done. And then it worked, and everything worked again. And I was like, that was bizarre. And I was like, okay, it's not my Xbox. The funny thing was, I tried getting online with other games. I was able to play, because I was like, I want to play video games. I can't play this. So I tried playing, at that point, I didn't think Dead or Alive was out at that point. I tried playing Dead or Alive 5, could not connect to servers.
Yeah.
And was like,
so it just stopped everything.
oh shit, what the fuck's going on?
Everything dead.
It was not loading correctly. And then the only game I could play was Super Hot. Because it had no internet connection. No internet connection. I was like,
that's what, dude, so my Xbox notifies me when someone's online. So every once in a while,
Adam's playing Super Hot.
And it's like, Adam's playing Super Hot. I was like, really?
Because it was the only game I could play on my fucking Xbox.
Really? I mean, I know you like that game, but it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, and that's why. So
no, is this issue something that
it affected every game that needed to connect to the internet for me?
Is it a once-off thing? Or do you reckon...
it might come back, I don't know.
Because if it's a saving thing, then it's going to do the
some
same thing again.
It was some corruption. But then what ended up happening, so once I did this thing that EA support got me to do, it took me 5 minutes and I fixed it. It was good. I could play Anthem. I could play all of my other games. So I was like, oh, great. Awesome. Thanks for not fucking unbricking my Xbox. That was great. And then... I was like, well, there was no forum post. Maybe this is just a me thing. Maybe I'm like,
just unlucky.
It's an old Xbox. It's like, I got it when
one of the
Xbox,
first
Xbox Ones came out. Maybe it's a problem with that. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, Anthem definitely did this, but maybe there's something on my end that it's not happening to everyone, because there's no posts about this thing. 1 week later, because I was bitching about this in my group Anthem / Destiny clan, being like, this is fucked, what is going on? And then 1 week later, one of the guys is like, hey Adam, what did you do? What problem did you have?
How did you fix that problem
again? Did the audio die on you? I'm like, yep. And he's like, okay. Can you not connect? Yeah, that was what was happening. He's like, how did you fix it? And I just sent him the screenshot of like what they responded to me, and he got back online again.
Yeah.
But seriously, this is not just affecting a group of, like, obviously a sample size of 2, but in saying that
same clan
within a week, I was like, come on, that's a widespread issue.
So it's definitely not a.
I think he plays on Xbox One S as well, from memory as well. So I was just like, yeah, that's fucked. So
can you imagine being the support team now? And there's like,
they'd be getting fucking railed.
The amount of shit coming through, and they just have to be polite and helpful as much as humanly possible. And you've just got so many angry gamers just raging.
It would be the worst. One of my mates is like that. We work together, and he's in the support team, and he's like, pretty much. I think he's a man. I can't remember his title exactly. He's the most senior in managing the team.
Yep.
He consistently complains about delivery, which is like me.
Yeah. You guys are the devil.
Yeah, basically.
You make my life a living hell.
Basically, because he's just like, and I can just imagine that is what's happening over like a BioWare or EA support. Because they're just like, the support guy's like, we told these motherfuckers the game wasn't ready. We told them, we knew these issues were here. And delivery went, or not delivery, because in this case, it's rather the publisher being like, we have a deadline, we got to hit it. Push it out the fucking door. Out the door. And you're like, now support is going to die for the next 6 months because you couldn't fix the bug that was bricking people's consoles.
Yeah.
So it was bad. And that was disappointing. I'm still playing Anthem. Although why? I don't know. like I'm having reasonable fun with it, but I'm actually there was also another issue that got raised that during testing. Do you know what the most powerful weapon is in the game is at the moment? It is the assault rifle that you start with, the level 1 assault rifle, because somehow they've fucked up the scaling for the algorithm so that like low level players can play with high level players and not be completely useless.
Yeah.
And they've fucked it up so bad that basically weapon upgrades are completely useless. You could get people were testing with like at the moment what is considered end game masterwork, legendary bullshit, and comparing that against its level 1 equivalent, and the level 1 equivalent was outperforming it. They're like, the numbers on the screen are lower. Like the masterwork weapon says you're doing 5,000 damage, and then it's like you're doing 3 damage, and they're like, but literally it's the same gun because it's the same gun, but it's just different rarities. Yeah, and you're pulling. They're like, I pulled the trigger 4 times with the level 1 assault rifle and killed the creature. Yeah, and then in the other slot, I pulled out the gun,
end game gun,
and then it took me half a clip to kill it, and you're just like, what? They're just numbers, and so it means that the numbers that pop up on the screen have no correlation to the actual damage you're doing. Oof. Yeah.
Okay. Remember when we were talking?
So it's like losing the veneer of like
of seeing the values
of actual progress, and like what you're doing doesn't. What it goes. Like, the numbers are effectively a little thumbs up, like, you gaming real good, man. You gaming real good.
Just be really proud of yourself,
like,
buddy.
They don't mean anything.
You managed to get
nothing.
The best of things. So this is funny because the last time we were talking about, like, on this podcast, and we were talking about this, I was like, no, I'm very optimistic. I'm looking forward. I know that they're going to make this better. Yeah,
it's starting to fall
out. That optimism is kind of slipping now.
Yeah, and I'm worried because like I'm sticking my word. I'm gonna be playing until at least through April because they've got the Cataclysm. Yeah. So what effectively will be a raid. Yeah, I'm gonna play that.
Wait and see how that pans out.
I'm gonna get to that point, and then I don't know because at this point, like at the point, I'm getting to the point now where I'm actually seeing the feedback loop of playing. And I'm like, okay, I got to go on a mission. And the last couple of times I was playing last night, and my reaction was just like, I don't want to. Like, I've got missions to do, and I'm like,
you weren't excited for it.
I just want to get these missions done. Yeah, I just want to get them done.
It's a chore now.
And I was like, this is not good. I've played the game for like less than a month.
Yeah. Like, okay.
Anyway,
we said we weren't going to talk Anthem. We've spent 13 minutes talking Anthem.
Anthem's bad.
So for me. In my last 2 weeks, I finally got my Xbox controller fixed.
Oh, yeah.
So one that had a broken bumper. So the one that drifts is still broken. So I've left that.
Not a plug for EB Games, but EB Games will totally fix it.
It was like $38.
How fucking good is that?
And it was like about a week.
I wish I knew this earlier because I just throw those controllers out and buy new ones. Yeah. And I was like, I've been wasting money. I was like, EB does refurbishments. Literally the only thing that I would go to EB for now, except for like pop figures.
But yeah. So it's the controller that came with my Xbox. So my Xbox is a Halo 5 edition. So it's like a cool,
and you don't want to lose it. You don't want to lose your cool editions.
And so it was just like $39. They sent it away, came back in a week, and it's running perfectly now. And so
that's awesome.
So I finally played Apex Legend without a drifting control.
Oh, how'd you go? Did you get better? Did you get a victory?
Much better.
Did you get
got victory.
Oh, you got victories! Hey, congratulations!
So I'd gotten about 3 victories before, but it was 100% the team carrying me every single time.
And you were just like, hide and don't die, please.
No. I still played, but I was. To be fair, I'm still shit now, but. Slightly better.
You feel you're contributing to the team?
I'm a little bit more confident in my abilities. And okay, so we talked scaling in terms of being able to buy shit and not actually, if you don't pay, how quickly. Apex Legends is bad for it.
Oh, really?
Pretty bad for it. So you get in-game currency when you level up.
Yep.
And you get like 600 per level. There's a character that I wanted.
Oh, to buy it and unlock a new character.
To unlock a new character, it was 12,000. So I had to get to like level 20 something.
Jeez.
Before I finally got enough.
And that's one character, you got to do the other character.
And there's another character that, and then they're going to introduce new characters 100%. But I think it's a little bit better when you want to buy skins or bits and pieces. Actually, like, I'm not actually sure. I need to look that up.
Characters, however, I would rather it be the other way around. I'd rather it be like 2,000 for a character, and if it was 12,000 for a skin, and I had to buy, I bought a skin every 10 levels or some shit. I don't care. Whatever.
I would rather it be.
I'd rather characters.
Characters are just
I'd rather
free.
content.
Why not just keep all the characters available? Like so many other games.
Overwatch makes so much money, and they don't need to.
So you don't have to pay for the characters.
They make god loads amount of money.
So I was finally able to buy the character that I wanted. Played as him for the first time with a good controller and managed to win.
Oh, really?
I was like, sweet.
Also,
having said that, I played a couple of other games with a different characters, just got trounced so quickly. So it's not like all of a sudden I'm a pro gamer at this game at it. It's all good. It's all really like all the characters are really good. They're all really fun.
Oh, I've got to play more.
So no, I like I was saying, I was kind of like losing interest a little bit.
Yeah.
The interest kind of picked up a little bit just having
a controller that worked.
Yeah, having the controller and the character that I wanted to play. So he's like a deceptive character. He throws like a mirage of himself to kind of get the enemy to shoot at the mirage instead of you. Right. When he dies, when he gets knocked down, he drops a mirage, and you can kind of like you cloak and you can kind of get away, sort of a thing. Like
you can fake that you died.
Well, you fall. And so when you die, you don't instantly die. No. You start bleeding out.
Yes.
And someone can revive you. If they shoot you while you're bleeding out, you die. And then they can pick up your beacon and bring you back again if your team manages to do that. So for him, he drops. So he's bleeding out, but he has a
bleeding out image somewhere
there,
else.
And he cloaks and kind of. You can crawl away.
So they'll shoot
you can, and if you're close enough, you can actually see him still. Like it's not like a completely invisible. Like you can kind of see a bit of an outline, sort of a thing. So it's not like OP sort of a thing. And then so he's just a fun character for me. Like I enjoy that kind of a character. So I finally managed to get him. Played one game as him. Managed to win. I was like, shit, yes. So that's been fun. That's been the highlight of my week, because I was just like, I finally have a controller. I'm not scrolling through the menu and going because the controller's drifting and I have zero control over what's going on.
Or your other controller that you can't even click because one of the bumpers is just broken.
Yeah, exactly right. And also headset. I have a headset that I couldn't use because the controller was broken, and anytime I plugged it in, it would just send static through the mic, and anybody listening would just be like, what the hell is going on? So I had to, but with this controller, it's okay.
Oh, good. So you can actually talk
to my team now.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So that's been good fun. Okay, enough about us. I think we've managed to use a good 20 minutes of this podcast.
But this is news, though. This is the thing. This is the problem with news at the moment. It's like Apex Legends and Anthem. And then there's been some other bits of news though.
We wanted to spend 30 minutes talking. We spent 20 of the 30 minutes talking about us. Okay, so to get into the meat of what we did actually have as a main topic.
Yes.
So two things that have kind of driven a bit of thought process for us and a bit of conversation for us. And it's something that we've brought up before in any sort of a gaming community. It's an ongoing topic. So two things that happened recently. One was the Evo stream of Dead or Alive.
This is the funny side of this story, and then there's a sad side.
And there's a sad side, and the other being the release/banning of a game on Steam,
which
aptly named.
Oh my god!
I've actually forgotten the name of it now.
The game's called Rape Day.
Rape Day.
It's not. I was like,
it's
not great.
Game, rape something.
It's
Rape
not
Day.
Great. This is like, and the funny game. So let's just
give
start.
Some context.
Let's start with the one that people have probably heard of, which is this whole Rape Day issue. And so this game, like, we're not like. This game has got not much to say about it. It is a visual novel, which are millions of them on Steam.
On Steam.
They're just everywhere. Most of them are terrible and cheaply made, and worth a few bucks, whatever. So this is the same thing. It's supposed to be like a post-apocalyptic. Like, I think it's zombie based from what I was seeing, or like it's a post-apocalyptic thing, and your character can. It's a visual novel, so there's no like gameplay
choice.
But you can
carry
You can
through.
choose that you are in a position of power now to rape women.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
That's
Like,
the
what
premise.
else?
That's the premise
What
of
else
it.
can you fucking say?
That's
like,
what
honestly,
it's called. That's what it is.
Yeah, and to be honest, like, my main issue with this is obviously that it's grotesque. Obviously, like, this, why does this need to exist? And people then obviously jump to it and be like, but free speech. I mean, so my personal opinion on that is probably pretty well established already. Like, this game isn't contributing to anything, and to be honest, this game is the kind of thing to be like, no one created this game and went, this is my passion project. This is what I need to exist in the world. This is what has to be here. This is a game for shock value.
I know that I'm contributing to society by developing this game.
I am making this game to shock people and hopefully generate buzz and hopefully make some money out of it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's a very, to me, this is a very cynical ploy to generate outrage, and then also because people will be outraged by it and it will make news, then it will also get people that are the free speech people, that are people that care about, or people that are of the opinion of, we will defend the game no matter what, because
free speech.
Because every game needs to be defended effectively. Whether you agree with that or not, I'm not going to get into that. But those people, or people that like just the shock value of it, will go and then buy this game. These visual novel games don't sell by the millions, but if they can generate news and outrage,
it might.
Then they could make some money off what would be a very cheap game.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a monetary side to this. So what Steam ended up doing, there's a lot of outrage. I think that maybe the developer probably overreached his ability to maybe get the news machine rolling, but also keep it under control and still be able to release this game.
Yeah.
Because Steam ended up banning the game.
They're just
you're fucked.
Sorry,
didn't
not
work.
shipping it. Yeah. And I guess that's part of obviously the controversy is the game itself, and then part of the controversy and part of the topic is Steam banning it and going, this doesn't fit in with what gets to be on Steam store kind of policy. And so they're just like, nope, not going to happen. And so I have my opinions, and I assume most people have their opinions on the game itself, but at the same time, so the thing for me is I generally in our podcast, I like to try to look at things from both perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll look at it from the developer's perspective, and I'll look at it from the consumer's perspective, like business, trying to make business sense, trying to do these things.
Yeah, and actually figure out why decisions are being made.
Yeah.
Because, like, by and large, I mean, we've been we shit on EA, we say they're evil.
For example, loot boxes, I get it as a business proposition. It's trying to make money. You can get people to pay you by...
And they're going to still keep working, but they're going to still keep doing them.
Yeah.
So until they stop.
It's a shitty thing. It makes business sense. I get that. This one, I don't get. Like, as much as I would like to go, okay, I'm in the developer's shoes. What am I trying to do here? For me, it doesn't make any sense. And you said it very clearly. I want a shock value. I want publicity. I want to just make people cringe or whatever in order to maybe make a little bit of money, maybe get the developer's brand more known, like notorious kind of thing, whatever the case is. But in terms of even that, like, there's so many better ways to do it.
Yeah,
there's
and that's
so many better options. Like, why go down the rape story? Like, what value does that bring to you as a developer or anyone else for that matter?
For me as well is the fact that if they cared truly about whatever moral, if they wanted to make a game and they were like, it's post-apocalyptic and bad shit happens. Like you see stuff in like The Walking Dead. You also see stuff in like Game of Thrones where you're like, this happens. This is like, and then like, oh, there's a rape scene in Game of Thrones and it was brutally awful to watch. And there was a lot of controversy about whether that should have been done or not. But at least the people of Game of Thrones can at least put up the thing and saying, this is like, we understand that it, like, legitimately, not using this word casually at all, but triggered people's sensibilities. Because, you know, they could be...
a thing that...
And they could have been survivors of like abuse themselves.
Or whatever.
Like, that's... And that's something you do have to be sensitive of when you are creating art of who will be consuming it. But the thing is, at least the people of Game of Thrones could say like, well, we did this because we wanted to do this with the character. We wanted not just be like, hey, Ramsay's evil. Like we know that, but we wanted to do something special. It's going to be something to further Sansa's character and like blah blah.
It furthers,
to them, they would
a strong character development.
They would have had hopefully they would have had artistic reasons or story-based reasons for including that in there, and also saying this is Game of Thrones. This is the world that they live in.
The world, exactly.
It's also based on like feudal society, which very common. So they're saying like we don't want to stray away from these things because they're uncomfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable because this is an uncomfortable world to live in.
Yeah, and absolutely.
And you can see
where that fits into that story.
This game doesn't do that. This game, by nature of calling the game Rape Day, by that fact alone, means that they want to shock people out of the gate.
It's
not
that the
saying
game
like
is...
we have an artistic background or idea for this, or we want to depict realistic consequences of an apocalypse, or whatever. So or saying or like being like, well, you know, when and looking at the human condition when shit hits the fan and good people turn bad fast. That does not do this because it calls itself rape. Like, it's clear, like, look, we have rape in our game. That is what it is.
So, if we were to line this up the same way as Game of Thrones, if this game was about post-apocalyptic society as a whole, talking about survival, talking about war, talking about whatever, like, all aspects of post-apocalyptic society, and then included a component of rape, in that case, you'd be like, still... a little bit iffy, a little bit sensitive, or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But acceptable in the grander scheme of things.
But you can at least see they're trying to do something for a purpose and for a reason.
Yeah. Like if you're painting the whole picture.
And it's also, a lot of those things, it's also, this also reaches a broader topic of like, you know, people say, oh, you can't joke about that. And this is the kind of thing of like knowing your audience and knowing what you're trying to say with a chosen topic. Like if you're saying like this is supposed to be uncomfortable, you're supposed to reach out for the victim. You're supposed to fucking hate the people committing the crimes.
Yeah.
This is an awful thing, and not just that surface level, but like it goes further than that. Where Rape Day is like it's promoting the fact of like you get to be the dude having the power trip raping someone, and it contextualizes that as a good thing, which is just like inherently evil and shit. Like it's just there's nothing else you can be like. I mean, there'd be a whole bunch of people hoping to buy this. Like the developer would be hoping to buy this game. They might not want to play it because they don't want to play a game that glorifies raping people. But like that's what they're gonna like. They'll be like, well, these people will buy the game because they want to be on my side. That and that's the most cynical part of me. But like, it's definitely a marketing tactic. So
what I do want to get into more is the broader top. So we talked about how Steam has now refused to ship it. I do want to get into the topic of that censorship, I suppose. But before we do that, I do want to tie in the Dead or Alive topic as well. So
this is a bit more fun.
So a little bit more lighthearted, and then we'll get more into the more serious conversation.
Yeah.
So I'll let you give the spiel because I think you're more across this than I am.
I'm the Dead or Alive man.
You're the Dead or Alive man.
I love Dead or Alive. I've loved Dead or Alive since 3 came out in 2001.
Yep.
I've been playing all of them. I went back and played the original.
His favorite was beach volleyball.
2 remix. I've never played I've never actually played a beach volleyball game. This makes sense because as much as I love this series, I am so inherently ashamed of loving this series. And it's not like, oh, it's a guilty pleasure. I'm like, I'm just embarrassed to be like, I'm playing a game and like someone will watch me like, what are you doing there?
Hey.
Like, and I'm like, I'm just playing. I'm just Jesus.
I promise.
It's a good fighting game.
I promise I'm here for the fighting. I promise.
I liken it to me loving Playboy for the articles. Like, it's just.
Hey, question for you. What's your Xbox background at the moment?
Oh, it's Destiny.
It's Destiny. What was it before?
It used to be a Dead or Alive background that I picked specifically because it was like super sexual and it would make everyone uncomfortable when I turned it on. It's like
sweaty breasts.
It's like no, it was the bottom half of I think Kasumi, so one of the main characters' face, and like sweat dripping off her. Because the thing is, that was a mechanic that they'd said, like, as the fighter fights,
they get sweaty,
they get sweaty,
scuffed,
they scuff the dirt on their clothing, all that kind of thing. And that changes depending on the environment that they're in.
The environment and how much damage or whatever.
Yeah. So they were trying, but the thing is, this is this game that it's like we have this new sweat mechanic, and you're like, oh Jesus, and then
it's like, oh no,
and then
I see where this is going.
And then the way they market it is by having this highly sexualized image with this woman sweating, and you're like. Oh,
like, damn it, Team Ninja.
Yeah,
damn it.
God, fucking damn it.
One of my favorite games ever, Ninja Gaiden by Team Ninja. One of the main, well, not
Dude,
main
look
characters.
At Rachel, man.
Rachel is one of the key characters.
Rachel's in Dead or Alive as well.
I know.
She's in. She's not in 6, but she's in 5.
Yeah. And she's just the most scantily cladded big boob.
Well, they got to put it somewhere because
character.
They're like, we've got to spend all this time with.
Jiggle physics.
With Habusa, so we have to put the women in somewhere, and when they're women, they got their boobies.
Equal opportunity. The guys are pretty bad as well.
That is fair. The guys are also like, so the DLC costume for my favorite character, Rig, is like, he's like a Taekwondo fighter, and because he and the other character who's an actual MMA fighter, female character, they traditionally have some form of MMA style fighting clothes because it's like, you know, like, yeah. Well, MMA's popular now, so you want to stay current. His MMA fighting costume is like Speedos.
The shortest, I was expecting short, like
no, they're Speedos.
Short,
they're straight up Speedos, and that's it. And I was like, okay, equal opportunity. You can see the dude's dick. Sure, whatever. Like, I mean, they're very. But the thing is, there's more women.
Yeah.
It's very apparent when every female character has
bikini
12 outfits. Male players have like 4.
Yeah.
And you're like,
anyway,
but yeah. So
to
back
the
to
topic.
This game has a very long history. This is setting the stage. Very long history.
Oh, you need to set the stage
of sexualizing their characters to no degree, to no end at all.
To no end, yes.
Dead or Alive 6. First image comes out. It's the main character in a new default costume. It is what a stylized, still pretty skin tight, but stylized version of what a ninja would actually wear. So like actual ninja battle armor, ninja future battle armor.
Yep.
Okay. No. Yeah. There's no big boobies in this one. Okay. Next images, same thing. Every default image, every default costume for every character. Surprisingly pulled back and tame.
It is tame, yeah.
And everyone's like, what are they doing?
This is not Team Ninja.
Eventually, like, it was just like, well, they're trying to get into EVO. They're trying to get into EVO and market themselves as a real, quote, for the audio listeners, quote unquote, real fighting game. So they're like, they want to get a bit more, want to get a bit more respect from the fighting game community. This surprisingly pissed off fans. And I was like, I hate the fans of this game. I was like, great! I can now hopefully play Dead or Alive 6 and not be ashamed without being judged. No. Fans hated that. But in saying that though, dude, you just got to go to the costume 4 or 5.
You have options.
Women. You have plenty of bikini options.
It's okay.
All right, you still find your shit's still there. They still got jiggle physics. You still got all the shit.
Yeah.
So they have this thing. They're trying to tone down. They're going for this image. And then the EVO stream happens. So they've got some EVO stuff going on. The Japan EVO stream is doing Dead or Alive presentation. Team Ninja is up there with the models, with the developers doing like presentations.
Yep.
It goes so wrong. It goes so wrong.
So wrong, but yet so right.
It goes... So they're showing off the... if you can find Twitch clips, and I highly recommend you do, I'll probably try and link them in the description, because they're the funniest shit ever. So what happens is there's Bass and another character, Neo Tengu, and they're fighting, and Bass is like this big pro wrestler character. So he throws a like 20 feet into the air, jumps up, 20 feet in the air, catches her, and pile drives her into the ground.
Oh, no, pile drive, sorry.
It looks great move.
And
they pause.
And freeze.
They freeze frame.
And scene.
And they freeze frame where Bass is like pile drived her into the ground. Neo Tengu, a female character who is like this, is actually a Tengu if you know Japanese mythology, and she's effectively like this devil.
Like succubacy?
No, well, she's kind of like this female equivalent, but like Tengu generally like this kind of like mythical creatures. Generally chaos and disorder and devilish kind of thing.
Yep.
So she's getting ethereal entity, getting slammed into the ground. Her legs are like, so when you get pile drived, like, your legs are back,
generally
over,
up and over
your head. And Bass is like kind of like sitting on the ground and that's what a pile drive move. It's a pile driver.
It is a legitimately well-developed and accurate move in terms of the pile driving component.
Except for the jumping 20 feet
and jumping 20 feet, not so accurate, but the actual move itself.
Yeah, like, so you know what a pile driver looks like. And then they freeze frame, and then they start rotating the camera and laughing and making it look like he is eating her out. Like, he is performing cunnilingus on this woman, and it's just like, they hold it for like, no joke, like 20 seconds, 30 seconds of just like,
it took me a second to realize what was going on after they froze the frame. I was just like, oh, they've kind of froze the frame. They want to show you the camera. They want to show you how you can do that mid-game and talk about what's going on. And then very quickly, I was just like, oh, I see where they are. Oh, I see what's going on here.
Because they're speaking in Japanese, so there's no subtitles, so we don't know, but they're laughing and having a great fucking time. And then you just realize what they're doing and what they're joking about on stream. And this is getting rebroadcast by like Evo, like the US, and they're going berserk. And then earlier on as well, the models are up there like simulating jiggle physics.
So they're jumping
up and
getting
bouncing their breasts around and slapping each other on the arse and stuff. And you're just like, what the fuck am I watching? Japan, stop, Japan, please. And then so that continues on, and this Bass Neo Tengu moment is like, screen goes black.
Yeah.
Evo has cut the stream has cut their broadcast. And then it goes back to the broadcaster, and they're like, we want to apologize for that content. That doesn't reflect our values. And then there's a since deleted tweet that I can read out that was quite funny. It was just like, we have that the quote was that from the co-founder, Mr. Wizard, the show from Evo did not reflect the core values of Evo or their fighting game community. And that they ended the stream temporarily to protect the integrity of our brand.
Yeah.
So that pissed fans off. Dead or Alive fans especially.
Yeah.
Let's put this out of the way. That was fucking stupid. That was a stupid thing to do. You're trying to get your game into Evo, and at the Evo stream, you pull that shit.
It's just like,
what do you think is going to happen? And no surprise, 2 weeks later, guess what game is not on the Evo list this year?
Dead or Alive?
Dead or Alive 6? Oh, I wonder why. And they're like, oh, we're really disappointed we didn't make it. I wonder why,
didn't make the cut.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
But in saying that, though, this does get onto this whole thing of like, not just apologizing, but like censoring content and where that kind of line is.
Yeah,
because exactly. I do agree. And then there's a big meme that has now arisen in the Dead or Alive community, which is core values.
Yeah.
And it's funny, and I find this extremely entertaining because at the same time they've just announced, and the reason they're like, "Hey, this game's undercooked." Dead or Alive 6 seems a bit undercooked. In some areas, and it seems a bit weird and grindy, and the story doesn't feel like it's complete.
Yeah.
The fighting actual engine itself, very good.
Yeah.
Very fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And the community itself is actually having a good time with the game. It's a good game. But the story itself seems undercooked. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of... It seems
there's no depth to it.
There's no depth to it. The story barely makes sense.
Yeah.
It seems like there's things missing, and it's turned out things are missing. And that's because they wanted to push this game out and release before Evo. So it could be considered for Evo, basically.
Yeah.
And then now it's not in.
Yeah,
but what game has been is getting released and is going to be in Evo and is announced in Evo is Mortal Kombat 11.
Yep.
And I love Mortal Kombat as well.
I love
Mortal Kombat. But for the co-founder of Evo to say that bouncing boobs doesn't reflect the core values of
Evo,
of a video game tournament, but pulling a man's skull out and or buzzsawing him in half, like all of that shit, and not just being like, oh, like
this
Hotline Miami style of
yeah.
bang, and then there's some blood pixels.
Yeah.
It is like
that
brutal violence. That is totally fine. That's fine. We're totally fine with that. That's not adult content, but boobs, adult content.
Mortal Kombat is now just about the brutality of it, the gore, the extreme that it goes to.
Which, again, I'm fine with.
It's still a fighting game. To be in all honesty, the fighting mechanics and the realism of the fighting has for a long time stopped being a focus. They've never really cared about.
No,
so they still enjoy, it's still clearly a fighting game, but at no point are they like, we want this to be the best fighting game. For them, it has very much become this is the goriest fighting game that you'll have.
Yeah.
And you'll love it and enjoy it because you do the most messed up shit.
Yeah.
So for that to be acceptable for Evo, but for a game that's trying to take itself more seriously
and trying to tone it down
in terms of competitive fighting and
no one wants to play softcore porn in front of people. Like that's fair. I understand
that's the point.
But in saying that though, there's a level of you can have sexuality in things, and I'm not a massive fan of sexuality in games generally, simply because it inherently makes the players generally feel pretty uncomfortable. It's not something that people revel in. Even when you see sex scenes in animations, people generally go, oh. And that's a general pullback.
This isn't why I wanted to play this game.
Unless it's Mass Effect, and then you lean into that shit. But generally, you're like, who do I bang? Who do I bang?
Out of all my crew,
who do I want to
male
bang?
or female?
It's like, I got to bang one of these people.
Or two.
I can bang multiple people. But that aside, it generally, when there's for story reasons or something, people are like, oh, fuck, I'm not cool with that. And it makes people feel uncomfortable, generally.
Yeah.
So, you don't need it. So, but if it's there, it's there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it necessarily an adult product. Not more adult than
Mortal Kombat.
Than violence. And that's
the point where kind of harping on now, right? Is to say why sexualization is more adult content than extreme violence. It's not even just violence. It is over the top violence, intentionally so. What makes one worse than the other? And so this kind of, and this is where we want to tie both topics that we've kind of touched on together in saying that censorship, that control that Evo has over the games that it brings into it, that Steam has over Rape Day or any other
there's
games that they don't appreciate.
I think the whole thing, this conversation we're having, is just to highlight how that it's often very reductive to have conversations about being like, no, all games have to be defended. All games, there's free speech, and no matter what, people are allowed to make what they make, and you're allowed to sell it. And I'm like, well, to be honest, that is reductive. People, Evo has every right to say, fuck no, we're not putting you up. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We gave you a chance. You were on our stream.
We were streaming you.
Yeah, obviously we're excited for this, and then you fucking blew it.
You just messed that shit up.
And that's fine. And I understand from their perspective, they're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And Steam is also allowed to. It's their platform. It's their competition. So they can do what they want.
There's two aspects to this. There's the aspect of they have the right to. Yeah. It's their platform. They can put whatever they can literally go, Happy Bunny Fun Times. We don't want to put that on because if they have a reason for it, sure.
Also, just I want to say one thing just because Evo, as a side note, Evo also cut Smash Brothers Melee, and that's pissed off so many fucking.
So
I want to still play my GameCube game from 15 years ago. Fuck you.
So
only Ultimate now.
They have the right to go.
They have the right to do that.
Look, this isn't what we want. This isn't what we want on our platform. Sorry, go put your content somewhere else.
That's more of a debate around what core values is.
Yes,
that's a debate of why. You have the right to make that decision, but why are you making that decision?
Right? But what we want to focus on is more on that content censorship of should this be allowed or is this acceptable? So
I definitely
There's a difference there, and again, this is such a fine line to kind of like try to walk.
It's also a thing where you kind of look at it and go, well, I guess both of these things are censoring. They're censoring content that someone has made. Then why, in my opinion, like, so immediately I've just told two stories and then said Steam is right to ban Rape
this
Day,
one, and
then
Evo's wrong to ban
DOA. Well, I think they're not wrong to do it, but
you're not happy about it.
But they're not. I'm not happy about it. So how are these two things? How can I have these?
What's
two
the differentiation?
Thoughts?
Yeah,
and it's mainly because like one of them I view as a completely cynical cash grab and trying to generate outrage.
Yep.
But also you've got to look at the effect that people have. There's a difference between the sexualization of someone, which again, actually, to be honest, talking on something broader, sexualization in games and movies and TV is an issue in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like, people don't need to be sexualized. Why is that a thing?
Yeah.
So, not saying that, but there's definitely a scale there's a line. This character has boobs that bounce, or I don't know. Honestly, I would at this point I would love to see like if the dudes wear things, if you can get dick bounce, I would love that shit. I would be like, equal opportunity, baby.
Because anyone
get some of that peen bouncing.
Anyone wearing Speedos jumping around and fighting, there's gonna be some movement.
Jiggle. There's some jiggle.
There's gonna be some movement. Yeah. I don't know other people's junk, how the physics works around other people's junk.
Maybe Lee doesn't wear underwear under his big pants. He's got big billowy pants on. Maybe he just like freeballs it. You know,
maybe it's just like a very.
There's a setting for that, right?
It's a Kevlar Speedos.
Can I go commando? Can I have a slider that says that my male fighters are going commando? But honestly, just
more seriously,
seriously though, there definitely is a differentiator between that and between a violent sex crime that people experience regularly and things that carry them for the rest of their lives. Yeah, they're just two completely separate things, and the fact that you're like, this doesn't contribute anything. You'd also argue that Dead or Alive sexualization doesn't really contribute. You could make a fighting game and not make it sexual. You could do that, and that's a fair and valid point.
But the difference here is one causes damage.
Yeah, one is so inherently damaging, like not even like. And again, we could go into sexualization and say like, well, you know, it says
sexualization does
unrealistic expectations, and it causes
body image issues,
further reaching issues, which is all fair. But like, there's no further reaching issues with Rape Day. There's just
it is what it is.
It is the awful shit you think it is, and that's it.
So for me, this is me trying to be like, let me look at everything. Let me not just be, this is my mindset. I hate this game because rape, and I like this game because fighting, and I want to see boobs. It's such a difficult thing to really discuss and have. You can never make everybody happy, no matter what you're doing, no matter where you are,
and that's why multiple games exist.
Exactly,
you can buy your own game.
So when it comes to this topic of what should be allowed and what shouldn't be allowed, it's such a subjective matter, and different people are impacted differently. So like, you can have someone play a rape game and just go, I walk away from it. I've played this game, maybe didn't enjoy it. Leave it. End of story. And you can have someone that may be a rape victim and just hearing that it's a game, knowing or seeing it out on the market, scrolling through streams.
It's a more symbolic thing than saying like, because the people go, well, if you don't want it, just don't buy it. And you're like, the fact that this game exists is going to hurt people.
It's going to hurt people.
The fact that it exists, not that you can play it. The fact that it is a thing, the game is called Rape Day. It's not even. It's not like, hey, did you hear that game has a rape scene in it? Like, that's really brutal. It's like this game is publicizing and about it, and is trying to get people to buy it based on its fucking title of Rape Day. You're like, what do you want?
Someone could be like recovering, just getting their shit together, finally getting their life together, scrolling through and see this game pop up and just have such a big impact on them.
Yeah.
Like, my general take on thing is, people can do whatever the hell they want as long as you don't hurt other people.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not physically hurting someone, you're not emotionally hurting someone, you're not like psychologically hurting someone, do whatever the hell you want to do. And so that's my problem with this game. In someone playing it, it could cause like inherent damage to them.
Looking at some 3D movies is not going to like inherently harm
someone. It's going to. It may cause a young teenage boy to to suddenly start.
Stop. But for audio listeners, I'm just drawing this line across my throat. Please stop.
The point here is that I personally don't see Dead or Alive causing any societal damage per se. And other people can argue that. Like, there
are points.
There are points to argue against that. But me personally, I don't see that being a big.
It's not
impact.
It's things like Dead or Alive are symptoms of part of a larger system that needs to be changed.
Yeah.
But it's not. Dead or Alive itself is not the problem. Games like Rape Day, that's a problem.
But something that you mentioned earlier on is there will be people defending this game to be like, freedom of speech. Like, it's content that someone's created. You can't stop it.
Host it yourself then.
Again, Steam has every right to not host it. And there are people that just release these sorts of games in whatever way. So if you really want it out there, you go find your way to get it out there.
What is really? Sorry.
But the thing for me here though is like, I don't know. It's hard to get into just because it's such a difficult space to navigate and it's a difficult concept to deal with. But so again, coming back to the freedom of speech, it's a similar thing as saying I can have whatever view that I want, but if I go walking around the streets going, I hate Adam, you should also hate Adam, he's a horrible human being, and let's just next time you see him, punch him in the face, kind of a thing. That's not allowed.
Didn't you do that at uni? Why did I get punched in the face off at university?
So it's like, it all makes sense now. Like, you will get arrested if you go fear-mongering, if you go around doing things that damage
in Australia
society.
Anyway.
In Australia anyway.
In the US you don't.
But in
Australia, absolutely.
And so it's
like we don't have free speech here.
So it's like a small comparison, but I see it in the same vein. It's like, yes, you have free speech, but you can't just go around doing whatever you want just because under the guise of free speech, because it's going to hurt people.
Also, inherently, that free speech is just the right to be able to say something. It is not the right to be free of consequences for what you say.
For what you say. It's like, you can't say it, but you will get in trouble.
Check out my rape game. No, like, then the platform's like, you're banned.
Yeah. It's like, you're free to develop this game. You're free to tell people about it.
I mean, we're not going to throw you in jail for building a game, but you won't be listed on Steam.
Yeah, but we will not publish it.
And you're not entitled to be on Steam.
So no game is entitled to be on Steam. That's the thing, right?
So the funny thing is here, this says, and I think this kind of actually does sum up our kind of take on this, is from Steam's actual statement about blocking Rape Day. And they just said, so there's a whole bunch of stuff about, like, you know, like, a lot of it's their own ass covering because people were on them about not being proactive enough. And they're like, oh, we have to be reactionary because whatever comes from our Steam Direct, which was Greenlight or whatever, like whatever comes from that, you know, we can only react to what we see. I understand, but also they're trying to negate any blowback on themselves.
Yeah.
That's a complete corporate thing. Whether you like it or not, that's what it is. But their last paragraph, it kind of actually has more of their actual opinion on this. It says, we respect developers' desire to express themselves, and the purpose of Steam is to help developers find an audience. But this developer has chosen content matter and a way of representing it that makes it very difficult for us to help them out. And that's basically what it is. It's not just the fact that they chose adult content or chose these themes. Nothing is inherently wrong with themes, with a theme of something. As we discussed before, like, it's still controversial. It still gets people talking about when Game of Thrones had rape in an episode, but at least they had enough. They at least were able to justify and put together a reason of why they did it. Whether you agreed with that or not is totally your call, and it's down to your own sensibilities. You don't have to watch that kind of content if it makes you feel uncomfortable. And it's good that the stuff like trigger warnings exist so people don't turn on Game of Thrones and see something that
stumble into it,
traumatize them. And that's fair. But in a way that they at least tried to do something with a tough conversation and a tough topic and try to make something from it rather than glorifying it and being like,
this is what this is.
Well, rape. And that's as far as it goes. Like, and so realistically, and that's what you're saying here is like the developer has not only the content, but the way of representing it that seems like we can't help them.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want us to do? And that's fair. That's totally, and that is fair. And also in the same vein, like it's fair for Evo to be like,
sorry,
man, you fucked up.
We gave you a chance, and boy, did you blow it.
And not only that, I think it's more from their perspective as it looks like they embarrassed them. Yeah. Like Dead Alive almost pulled the rug out from under them, being like, oh, we're a game that everyone can play now. We're not sexualizing our people. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. And they were saying like, if you want, like, because they were trying to also appease fans and be like, oh, well, but if you want. There are settings you can turn the jiggle physics off if you want.
Yeah, that's always been there,
and that's always been there.
Yeah.
And they're like, and if you don't want to play, and for 6 especially, they're saying, well, if you don't want to play with the with any of the more risque costumes,
outfits,
like all of the default ones, all of them are, and most of the ones that you unlock through gameplay progression, all of them are very, very tame. Very tame. It's the DLC, it's the extra ones that if you want to buy this costume, which is a good way of promoting their own microsystems, microtransactions, but they can just say, well, you just don't buy it. Just don't worry about it. You don't need the content. Yeah. It's all just cosmetic stuff that if you don't need, you don't want, then don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And I understand that, and I get that.
Yeah.
But for them to say all this and do all this and then have that stream, only then to pull the rug out from under Evo to be like, psych, we still are the same company.
Yeah.
Like Evo's, it's almost like retribution rather than oh, we disagree with this game. It's like, fuck you for making us stick our neck for you at our neck.
And then you just screw us over on our live stream.
On our stream.
Not even just something that we've just promoted. It is our stream.
On our stream.
Right.
Linked
in
to our
my
brand.
own house.
Yeah, basically. As funny as that is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. So
it's a complex issue, but I think there's definitely a line, and I think that having conversations saying like, no, every game that talks about X or does X or this should be banned. Or the opposite of saying every single game, media, TV, film should be able to do whatever they want unabashed and completely free of consequence. There's definitely like a line, and it's a nuanced conversation. And this is why this is hard.
Yeah.
This is why you can't have a conversation about this over Twitter.
And the thing is as well, it's contextual, right? Like one situation will be different to another. And so you kind of have to have the same kind of conversation every single time and just be like, does it make sense or does it not make sense?
Yep.
Is it reasonable? Is it just too much? Whatever the situation. And so, and again, that's what makes it so difficult. But just to throw to you guys listening, if you've listened this far, if you have a look online, there's a list of so many games that specifically in Australia that have been banned.
Games that are banned in Australia.
There are so many of them. So is there something that you yourself either looked forward to or knew about, or just was like, sweet, I would have loved to play that game or watch that movie or whatever, and you're just like, oh, it's banned, I can't, or weigh in on this topic as well if you'd like. If you think we're wrong in our stance on Evo versus Steam, let us know. We're really keen to hear other people's perspectives on the matter, and please back up your argument. It would be really good to have a conversation with someone about why versus why not, rather than you're wrong, eat shit and die. And
don't ask YouTube for anything. Don't ask YouTube for anything.
So no, but please let us know. I'm genuinely curious as to what other people's stance on this difficult topic is.
Yeah.
So chime in, whether it's on Discord, whether it's just on this video itself, on YouTube, and in the comments, however you can get
through
to us.
Or on Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our Facebook page.
So yeah, let us know. And if there's anything that has been released and you're like, I don't think that should have been released.
Why is this game a thing?
Let us know as well, because honestly, this whole conversation is something that a lot of people should be across and chime in on.
Also, want to say, last thing, I'm very excited. We're on Spotify now.
We are on Spotify.
I can't believe we did it. We finally did it.
We've been on iTunes forever. We don't.
Who listens to iTunes anymore?
But Spotify. Check us out.
Spotify's the jam now, man.
That's it.
Go to Spotify.
That's where you want to find us.
You just need to search A Cast of Salt, and then it'll come right up. Click on our little A Pinch of Salt logo that you've seen millions and millions of times, apparently.
Yeah.
And you can listen to everything on Spotify.
Exactly
and they've actually updated their Spotify app. I used to listen to all my podcasts. Like, I got Spotify, so that's where I listen to my podcasts. And I was like, oh, it sucks though, because they do it like music. So when you upload a new one, it gets to the top of the feed.
Right.
But for podcasts, it still plays down.
Yeah.
So it plays, if you listen to episode 5, when episode 5 finishes, it then plays episode 4.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wanted to play 6.
Yeah.
But they have, and people complain about this vehemently of why Spotify sucks for podcasts. They have changed it though in the recent update when it plays correctly.
It plays in order.
If you start in episode 1, if you really want to, you can start in episode 1 and then just keep listening, and it'll just play all of our podcasts.
If you want to
all of them are there.
If you want to listen to 58 hours of us talking
longer,
shit,
probably
a little bit longer, by all means, start at episode 1. And on that note as well, some of our other content, we've got a ton of junk on YouTube. So please feel free to jump on there, check out some of the stuff that we've done. We talked a lot about Anthem. Adam did some cool videos of the early release. I
wish I could go back to that time when I loved Anthem that much. I'm being mean. I still like Anthem. I'm still playing it, but Jesus.
So check out some of our stuff on there. If there's anything you want to see, let us know. We're always open for suggestions. And yeah, anything else from you, Adam? We good?
Nope.
Thank you for listening to this 1 hour cast that was supposed to be half an hour. We can't help ourselves.
Every hour. That's the secret. Every single time we've ever casted it, we've always aimed for half an hour. It's always been an hour.
It just hit the hour mark.
It's just the amount of time that we fucking talk for.
Okay. And to stop it from dragging on any longer, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.